I joined now Simon Teres. He's our solution manager responsible for ADAS and autonomous driving. And I will discuss with him what's new in this release.
Sure, yeah. Our developers were super busy, and of course they made a lot of nice new features that make it even nicer to work with our tools. And I would say let's start with the scenario designer. I made a little video to show you what are the major highlights of the tool. One of the biggest one is the open scenario 1.2 support. We have a full support here now. And you can see I create a new open scenario 1.2 scenario. And another nice feature is that now with the context menu in the scene, you can easily add new actors. So this makes it way easier. And we remember which one were your favorites. So they will always show up at the top. Another nice feature is that now you can draw trajectories and automatically assign the follow trajectory actions. So here again, we automate some actions that you would anyway have to do afterwards, and we make this all in one convenient action. And as you can see here, within 30 seconds, I could create a nice scenario where the pedestrian crosses the road.
Yeah, it's impressive what we reached on the scenario designer side. It's very interesting. This was just a short introduction. If I want to know more about this, how can I learn more?
Exactly. I recorded a video recently. It's an 11-minute video where I give a full introduction on scenario designer. I show the typical workflow, how to create a scenario, but also how to pick the road, how to parameterize it, how to export it. And I think this really summarizes what the tool is about and how it feels like to work with the tool.
Yeah, this scenario designer is one building block fitting into this Senius workflow. What else can you tell us about the whole tool chain?
Here we also have a nice set of new features. We improved the integration between the different Senius modules. This means now with the new import wizard directly embedded in Scenario Designer, we can upload scenarios to the database, and we have directly the check if the database allows the import of these scenarios and if they are compliant to the Senius test automation workflow. But we also have a way to get data from the database. We have a solution where you just click one button and we download all actors from the database and we add them as an open scenario actor catalog. This means then you can use these actors in your scenarios. And when we upload the scenario, Senius automatically detects, okay, these actors are actors that already exist in the database, and we know that they are linked to each other.
This is a lot about definition and adjustment of scenarios and managing scenarios. At the end, for ADAS and autonomous driving functional testing, we need then simulation of the different scenarios. What can you tell us new in this area?
Yeah, that's our other big pillar in this solution area. And in the simulation part, the new big thing that we ship here is object-based sensor models, which are compliant to the ASAM OC standard. And together with this, also a tool called Scenario Replay that helps to visualize the sensors and the simulation results.
What can I think about it? Replay, what does the user really gain out of it?
So the idea here is that we always want to scale simulations to many parallel cases, so we don't watch the simulation happening live. This means we record the simulation data. And for sensor data, here we chose the ASAM OC standard as a recording format. And this sensor data that we recorded from many different simulations, of course, there will be some simulations that failed where the behavior was critical and you want to analyze again what happened here. And for this, the Scenario Replay tool allows you to really play back result data of your simulations.
Okay, when I understand correctly, so you are focusing on large-scale simulation where I do not continuously check the results, but this is then handled with KPI and extracting. And then for certain cases, the engineer has the capability to look into certain scenarios out of this large number of simulations you are doing.
Exactly. And another big important thing when you want to do that large scale simulations is always the performance. Imagine you want to do 1 million cases per day. And usually many sensor models that you see in the market nowadays, they heavily use GPUs, so graphical processing units. And you need more or less like a gaming computer. And this is very hard to scale this to 1 million of tests. And GPUs get really expensive currently also because of the machine learning hype and AI. This means what we are focusing on with scaling is to say we have object-based sensor models. They don't try to render a photorealistic world. They work on an object bounding box level. And here we can have phenomenological or statistical behavior effects. And we can bring this into our closed loop controller tests. This means the customer benefits from realistic sensor behavior, but we don't need the GPU power. We can have very more performant sensor models and use this in the closed loop test and see how our ADAS software or our automated vehicle would react to different situations. If maybe also a vehicle is not seen by a sensor in bad weather conditions.
So that's very interesting. Anyway, ADAS is a very new, exciting topic. How do you see the further trend in the market, which you are considering in your roadmap as next steps?
We're seeing a clear cut and seeing that there's many different use cases and there's different simulation setups or also model fidelities that are the perfect fit for these use cases for testing in a most efficient, cost-efficient way. This means for controls testing, we are very focusing on this object-based level where we can have phenomenological effects. We can play with the vehicle dynamics, details, and so on. And this is really the idea of bringing this into the development process, into continuous testing workflows, which is more or less the CI/CD equivalent of classical software development. Then, if you go for perception, this is a new field where you can generate synthetic training data, you can optimize sensor configuration, you can investigate the effects of soiling. These are really specialized topics, and this is really also a different domain. This is not the classical simulation engineers, this is more machine learning data experts. And finally, the last pillar, which we also address strongly with the seniors toolchain, is the virtual validation. It's really the idea to have less real prototypes that can really drastically reduce cost, and it can help to validate your vehicles in the virtual world without harming people and scaling, parallelizing, and increasing the speed here.
If you try to summarize together and say with this new release, who and why should somebody change from previous release to this one? What is the main change for whom, and what is the benefit they get out of this upgrading to the new version?
I think it's really a major release. It's a complete change from the 23R1 now to the 23R2. There's a lot of new models. We also improved drastically the interfaces to tools like ES Mini or Kala. So I think everybody who's working in this field, they were already waiting for this release, for this update, and for all the new functionalities that we brought now.
That's great. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for giving us the introduction and giving us the chance to have an understanding what's new in this 23R2 release in the area of ADAS and autonomous driving.
Thank you.